What's up? I'm Chrissy Crash. Welcome to Building Roller Derby Speed, Strength, Agility, and Endurance to go from average to all-star. Just really quick, if you don't know anything about me, I started playing roller derby in 2006. I saw a commercial on TV for that TV show Roller Girls, and I was like, what the hell is that? I don't know what it is. I Googled it, like many of you maybe did. Um, and I showed up and immediately was like, holy shit, I'm so out of shape. And realized that this was this thing that I just wanted to do. I wanted to do it. I fell in love with roller derby. And in the process of that, I was a smoker, drinker, fast food eating bartender. I was 30 pounds overweight. I was not loving a whole lot of things about my life. I did not have control of my emotions. I didn't have control over, like, I was an emotional eater. I was anxious. I had so much anxiety. And roller derby, honestly, for me, like the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because roller derby literally saved my life. Like I was at a point where I was working in this crappy bikini bar, and this sport caused me to elevate who I saw myself as. It caused me to see myself as something better. It made me want to be healthier. It made me want to be fitter. It made me want to go back to school. And, down the line, it just became something that I wanted to pay that forward. I went on to I've played bank track and flat track. I played first with Orange County roller derby, then I moved on. I played for LA Derby Dolls. We completed 3 championships as the Tough Cookies. So that was super awesome. We had a three-peat, which was amazing. And then I went on to play for Angel City. I got to compete with them at the highest level in WFTDA championships, which was incredible. We came in fourth. Um, and it's just been such an amazing ride. And I'm so passionate about this sport. I now live down in Costa Rica. I'm in the process of building a roller rink here so that we can start running derby and paradise retreats where y'all can come down, come to Costa Rica, get coached by top level coaches, and skate in the jungle and hang out with monkeys. So I love doing this. I love teaching athletes how to be better. And that's really why Crash Course was born, because this sport changed my life so much. And I felt like I struggled to figure out how to become better on my own. And so really all I wanted to do is create a path and like a roadmap for other people to be able to do it faster. You know what I mean? Like I want you guys to be able to do this faster. So if you want to do it faster, comment in the chat box, but I want to go faster, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, right? We're going to talk about going faster. I mean, faster on your roller skates, but faster nonetheless. Because, if you get faster on your roller skates, that's going to make you faster. It's going to make you get onto that all-star team faster. So anyways, here we go. Sometimes I get distracted. It's fine. So let's hop into this thing. So, okay, you're obsessed with roller derby. We get it. And you want to kick all the ass. Or maybe at this point, you just want to not feel like you're getting your ass kicked, right? Which one of those are you? Are you someone right now who wants to kick all the ass? Or do you just right now feel like you do not want to get your ass kicked? So comment in the chat box. I am curious. I want to know. Who are my people? Oh, Sin says, y'all know you want to go faster. Uh-oh, Coach Sin is in the chat box. What's up, buddy? Huge shout out to Coach Sin, by the way. So Sin is the head coach for Crash Course. She is the All-Star team captain, I believe. Wait, why? Sin, oh my God, I just got nervous like talking about what you are. She plays for Red Stick Roller Derby, which is up and coming in WFTDA right now. She is their trainer. She is their coach. She is their captain. And she is an incredible leader. So she writes all the programming for all of our athletes and stuff like that. Co-captain, thank you, co-captain of Red Stick. Oh my God, someone on Red Stick's gonna be like, this Chrissy Crash. But she's incredible. So if you guys haven't seen what Red Stick is doing, it's incredible because they've been working on their strategy, they've been working on their speed, they've been working on their agility, they've been wanting to kick more ass instead of just getting their asses kicked. So this is where you are. So now what? So there's a couple of key components to kicking all of the ass, okay? These are things that over your roller derby journey, you're going to constantly need to get better at, okay? I don't really believe that with any of these, there is an end point. There's not like just a place you're gonna get to and you're gonna be like, all right, we're done, that's it, right? So fitness is a key piece of it. Working on your fundamental skills make sure that as you move through Derby, you continue to work on your fundamental skills. I'm a firm believer that you can always stop faster. You can turn more precisely. You can get from one side of the track way quicker than you thought you ever could. But you're always going to be working on your skills. So don't forget about your skills as you move up. Okay. Communication is a key piece of kicking all the ass. Being able to be a great communicator on the track, as well as a great communicator off the track, right? Because in order to have a great team, you definitely need to make sure that you can communicate with them. We actually did a great podcast episode about that. If you check out the Chrissy Crash podcast on like wherever you find podcasts, there's some really great stuff on there about pack communication, about team dynamics, all that fun stuff. Another piece of it is confidence. If you're going to kick all the ass, you need to be confident that you can kick all the ass. And if you're someone who's just starting out in the sport, I just want you to know that the confidence is going to come with the commitment to show up for yourself. Okay. And along with that is going to come the aggressiveness. And I believe aggressiveness is just the certainty that there is a specific ass at a specific moment and you are going to kick it. And then the final piece is strategy, right? And strategy is always changing in roller derby. You know, this is something for me right now. I've actually taken a couple years off, you know, because I live in the jungle and there's no asphalt to roller skate on, let alone play roller derby. So I'm now just coming back to playing derby after having taken about 4 years off. And I'm playing with a team here in Costa Rica and San Jose, about 8 hours away. We're going to Colombia in October. And for a lot of these guys, I think it's going to be their first tournament ever. For me, I feel like it's my first tournament coming back. I'm so excited. But the strategy has changed, right? And so even as like a top level athlete, you have to stay up on strategy. Like for me right now, I'm doing a lot of strategy homework. Like I feel like I'm pretty good in a lot of the areas and I'm still working on improving as I'm coming back to derby. But for me right now, it's like strategy is the thing that I'm really like diving into. So we're gonna have a bunch of new podcast episodes about strategy because I figured if I'm gonna learn it, like I may as well, you know, give it to you guys as well. So, oh, I just realized, hang on one second. How do I do the thing? Hang on. I was like, oh my God, if someone is like trying to get in, okay, perfect. All of a sudden I was like, what if someone's trying to get in and I'm not paying attention to them? Okay, we're good. Okay, but today, on top of all of this stuff, we are going to be talking about fitness, right? Getting yourself in great shape. So let's get to the good stuff. So this is the reason why you are here, because you want to have more speed, which let's define each of these. Speed, we're talking about getting around the track quickly. We're talking about acceleration. Okay. Strength, we're thinking about pushing power. When you get stuck behind that wall as a jammer, can you push it 20 feet? This is blocking power, not only being able to give a solid block, but also taking a hit. Can you do that without being moved on the track? And then also having powerful crossovers, right? Speed is one thing, but having the strength for that push is entirely a different thing. And then agility. So agility is finding or making holes. This is avoiding hits. This is attacking not the hammer because that would not make any sense, but attacking the jammer. But then also as a blocker, this is closing holes. This is getting across the track fast enough to stop that jammer, right? And then endurance. Endurance comes to play in power jams. Can you go that full 2 minutes as a blocker or a jammer? Right? Can your coach put you back in jam after jam, back to back jams, going, all right, coach, I'm ready, put me in. Right? For me, that was something like I focused so much on my endurance that when I was obviously like at the peak of my performance, it was like, yeah, put me in, yeah, put me in, yeah, put me in, because I focused so heavily on that endurance, which also had me be a really great communicator. So one thing you might not think about is if your endurance sucks, it's very hard for you to be a great communicator on the track because your brain doesn't have enough oxygen to think about strategy, nor does your lungs have enough oxygen to be able to talk to anyone. So having endurance for me is such a huge part of being a great roller derby athlete because it opens up that level of fitness, opens you up to be a more dynamic player. So comment in the chat box if you were like, hell yeah, I want to be a dynamic player. Yes, awesome. Allie says, I want to go faster. Melina says, I don't want to get my ass kicked. Slay's like, yes, all the strategies. Awesome. I love it. I found my chat box. There it is. Now I have two chat boxes. Okay, hang on. You guys, I have so many windows. I know you can't see them, but I have a lot. Yeah, hi Lisa. Lisa says yes. Let's go. Whitney's like, hell yeah. I freaking love it. You guys are firing me up. So let's talk about each one of these individually. Okay. And then I'm going to break down for you how to put this stuff together. So building speed. So again, just to recap, building speed is getting around the track quickly, changing directions, acceleration. Now, when it comes to cross training, the types of exercises you want to focus on for building speed are going to be sprinting intervals. Now, this could be on or off skates. Okay, explosive off the line sprint intervals. Also, a great one for speed is plyometric exercises. So these are explosive powers, things like jumping squats, jumping lunges. Also, things like simply doing like big two-footed hops forward. Anything that's causing you to have lots of speed and movement at the same time. Okay. Now, another thing that's going to be key for building speed is having efficient crossover form. Now, one of the number one things that I see, especially with newer skaters, is they're like, oh, I'm struggling to hit my laps. I think it might just be that I can't catch my breath. But then I'll like have like, for example, in Crash Course and Transformation, part of that program is that we do scrimmage reviews, but we also do form reviews. So they'll like send us, let's say, a video of them doing crossovers, and I can look at someone's crossovers and be like, oh, do you see how your shoulders are turning out instead of turning in? And as a result of your shoulders turning out, you can't get your, like, for example, like if you're trying to skate this way, but your shoulders are here, you can't get your leg over. So you can't actually get down in a position. So if you just turned your shoulders, hug the track, all of a sudden you have all this extra space for a big push and a big pump, right? So something as simple as having a really great crossover in terms of your skill of crossing over is going to help you be a lot faster. So if you're a newer skater, that's a key piece to focus on. So similarly, like again, so when we're thinking about building speed, we're thinking about explosive power. So again, just to reiterate, I want you to think about sprints. These could be, you could set up some cones, like for example, one and then another one 20 feet away, another one 40 feet away, and just sprint out, touch the line, turn around, sprint back. They're like basketball sprints, right? Something as simple as that is going to help you build your speed. Okay. Now, this is something that you can incorporate into your routine 2 to 3 times a week. Okay. Now, if you're a beginner, I want you to start out slow. I want you to focus on anything we talk about today. I want you focusing on the mechanics and the form first. Okay. So, any of these kind of interval drills, any of this sort of plyometric stuff, these are really great things that you can be doing a couple days a week, starting out slow, but starting to work into that explosive power. If to start, you have to jog from here to the line and then jog back, great. That is a perfect starting point, and I will explain to you later why. Okay. So here we are. So we got building speed. I'm checking for questions. Awesome. So if you guys have questions as we go, feel free to post them in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them along the way. Okay. So I think I said hold questions till the end, but I'm changing that. Feel free to just comment in the chat if you have questions along the way. So building speed. Are we clear on building speed? Okay. We need to be having fast, explosive movements. So the second thing that we're focusing on is developing strength. So when we're developing strength, we're thinking about pushing power, blocking power, taking a hit, powerful crossovers. And the things that you're looking for this are compound movements. Okay, things that are going to require you to engage not just your legs, but your legs and your core, not just your glutes and hamstrings, but your entire posterior chain. Okay, this is when I say compound movements, this is the reason why I don't necessarily recommend that people use machines, right? Like I don't want you laying down and doing a hamstring curl. I don't want you doing leg extensions, right? The reason why, even things like a squat machine where you sit down and you press up like a leg press, the problem is it's not causing you to engage all of your muscles. It's focusing on these specific spots. So instead, when you're thinking about developing athletic strength, not just mirror muscles, right? Because this is about being strong and fit, not just like, oh, cool, look, I have biceps, right? Or, oh, look, here's my quad muscle. Like you can get some dope quads, but also have a strong, fit body at the same time. And to do that, you want to focus on compound movements. So things like squats, deadlifts, lunges. Okay, these are things that you can add in if you are a newer person to working out. I just want you to start with body weight. Okay, you can totally do squats without body weight. right? 3 sets of 15, great place to start. Deadlifts, you're like, but Chrissy Crash, how do you deadlift without, like a barbell? It's simple. You just simply get on one leg, kick the other leg back, deadlift forward, deadlift back. What I'm doing as I'm doing this is not only am I working my glute and my hamstring, but I'm also causing myself to work all of these balancing muscles. Everything has to stay tight in order to get down and then all the way back up. Okay. So these are all things that you can start out with by simply doing them with body weight. 3 sets of 15 reps each is a really great start. Okay. And again, this is stuff that you can be doing 2 to 3 days a week. When we're talking about enhancing agility, so again, agility meaning finding or making holes, avoiding hits, attacking not the hammer, but the jammer, and then closing holes. Okay, so when we're thinking about this stuff, this is where we want to be thinking about ladder drills. So you can go on Amazon, you can get yourself an agility ladder, and anything from just starting with single steps forward, single steps sideways. You can get fancy and start doing 2 steps forward, 2 steps out, 2 steps in, 2 steps out. You can get really fancy with it. Cone drills. You can set up cones in just a square, one here, one 10 feet that way, one 10 feet back, one 10 feet over, and simply do a drill that's literally to side shuffle from one, to back step to the next one, side shuffle over, and sprint forward. A very, very simple cone drill that's going to help you develop very great agility in a simple way. Okay. Similarly, you can do things like line drills, where literally you can either put a jump rope on the floor, tape off a piece of something on the floor, and just simply start working on fast feet, stepping over the line and back. Okay, these are very, very simple ways to start building up your agility. And you can do them on skates or off skates. I recommend doing this stuff off skates and then translating it onto skates. Okay. Again, doing this stuff 2 to 3 times a week is great. And starting out really slow and focusing on the form and then starting to speed it up. Okay. So slow to get the form, slow for your brain and your muscles to remember what you're doing, and then start speeding this up. Okay. Double checking for questions. If you have questions, put them in the chat box. Hopefully you don't have questions because you're just so furiously taking notes. All right. And then when we talk about improving endurance, comment in the chat box if you want to improve your endurance. Can I get a hell yes in the chat box if you want to improve your endurance? Because like I said, endurance is the difference maker. She who can stay on the track longest without falling over and being exhausted is gonna win the frickin' game. Okay, so endurance is a key piece of this. Yeah, I see slays with the hell yes. I love it. Awesome. But this is the difference maker. Okay, so how do we do this? There's 2 different types of things that we're talking about. We're talking about cardiovascular exercise. Okay, we're talking about aerobic and anaerobic. So aerobic is more like long, steady distance. Okay, this is going to be more like your trail skates, your beach skates, things that are more like just sort of getting you used to doing something for a long period of time, right? Because if let's say a game is an hour and a half or a practice is 3 hours, the more comfortable you can get with your body doing hard exercise for a couple hours, the easier practice is going to be. The more comfortable that your body is doing a hard beach skate for an hour and a half, the easier a game is going to be. Okay. Now, anaerobic, meaning more of like your interval training, your sprints. This is the stuff where we're thinking about from jam to jam. Okay. This is where you have to have that big push to get through the pack so you can burst out so you can then pop around and score some points. Okay. So some different ways that you can focus on building your endurance. I find that if you have a gym membership, I believe personally that the stair climber, like the one that looks like an escalator that you climb up, I believe that this, at least for me, was the single most useful tool for being an unstoppable skater. Because if you can get on a stair climber for 45 minutes, you can do fucking anything. And so I got to the point where when I was really leveraging stair sprints, you can use regular stairs also, by the way. But I was leveraging these to really, really take my endurance to the next level. What I would do is I would get on a stair climber, and I started by doing 10 to 15 second sprints with a 30 to 45 second rest. So I'd sprint for as fast as I could. I would like turn that thing up, I'm like running up the stairs, running up the stairs, and then I turn it down as fast as I can before I fall off of it. And then you're like, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, oh my god. And then after like 45 seconds, you're like, okay, I think I'm not gonna die. Okay, I think I'm okay. And then you do it again. And I would just do like 10 or 15 rounds of this. So it ends up being something like 10 or 15 minutes. But what it does for you in terms of being an unstoppable skater on the track is mind blowing. You could do this same thing with if you live near a hill, you can do hill sprints. If you live near a stadium, you can do stair sprints. If you live near the beach, one of the most horrific and wonderful things that you can do is go sprint in the sand. God love it. It's the worst. Yep. Sin says it. Endurance wins games. It's so true. Yeah. Lisa's on track with endurance, but it does. Endurance wins games. If you can become unstoppably fit, then all of the other people who maybe have great agility, maybe have great speed, maybe have great power, but by the second half of the game, if they don't have endurance, all of that goes in the toilet. And that's when you can really shine. Because if you can out endure people, then even if you are not the strongest skater, even if you're not the fastest skater, you're going to be the most consistent skater on the track. And that's what's going to make you unstoppable. And that's what's going to give you the ability to get better at everything else because you're not sitting there focusing on how tired you are. So, in case you can't tell, I really believe in endurance. Another way to get this is metcons. And what I mean by metcons or metabolic conditioning, which is just a really fancy way of saying lift weights faster. That's all you got to do. Just lift weights faster. You want to get strong? Great. Lift weights. You want to get strong and have endurance? Great. Lift weights faster. But obviously, focus on form first and then pick up your speed. Okay. Again, 2 to 3 days a week is a great amount of time to focus on this. Okay, questions in the chat box if you got them. All right, so putting this all together, my friends. So, sorry, I just got distracted. So putting this all together. So resistance training in a circuit format is basically the best way to hit it all at once. Okay. So again, thinking about some sort of a circuit training is going to be the best way for you to build strength and build endurance and speed at the same time. Now, I just wanted to put this together. This is a really great example of how you could build a workout for yourself in a way that if you did this 3 days a week, you would become an incredible skater. If you did this 3 days a week for 4 weeks, or like we do in Crash Course, if you did this 3 days a week for 12 weeks, you would be absolutely blown away by the difference in your game. We had one of our Crash Course members skate in their first tournament and score a 24-point jam. And we were like, yes, endurance wins games. But that's what it is, right? Is doing this stuff consistently. So a great way to do that. Yeah, Slays, dude. It was, oh my God, we were just like, we couldn't believe it because it happens. We have a lot of our skaters that come in and by the end of the 12 weeks or by the end of maybe like their first 6 months, they start getting like MVPs. We have all these like MVP every weekend. Somebody's like, I got MVP jammer. I got MVP blocker. I got MVP of the game, like all the time, because it's like when you lean into the fitness consistently, it freaking pays off. Right. So again, I just keep totally going off on a tangent, but first things first, do a dynamic warm up, move your body, get it warm. Second, you could throw in a couple of agility ladders. Okay. If you need to be working on your agility, throwing in a couple of agility ladders, then go into some kind of a strength or metcon. If you want to be working on your endurance, which you all should, think about lifting weights faster or doing strength training faster. Do squats faster, right? Maybe don't do deadlifts faster. That's a little like questionable, but do lunges faster, right? And then if you need to, you can also, maybe you were just focusing on some nice slow strength to really focus on building your muscles. And then you could throw a finisher in there. Say, okay, I just did some slow strength. Now I'm going to do 50 burpees for time to get myself to that. Your finisher could also be doing some stair sprints. This could also be hopping on a stair climber. This could be doing some shuttle runs. This could be doing some cone drills. Okay. And then afterwards stretch. So that's a really great way to do it. You can also get this done for you. If you guys want to learn more about Crash Course or anything like that, you can just DM me after. I can give you the lowdown. Disclaimer, we don't accept everyone. Like you have to actually be wanting to get better at sports. But also you have to just be really ready to put in the work, because we're not going to let you get by not doing the work. But it's a really kick-ass program. I'm not just saying that because it's my program. It's actually pretty fucking awesome. So a couple things that I want you guys to think about when it comes to the basics of fitness, right? So we've been talking about putting it all together, how you're going to do this, but I really want to talk about the mindset behind training for roller derby as well, because it's one thing to know what you should be doing, but it's quite another to then burn yourself out. Okay. So a couple things that I want you to think about. These are the three basic pieces where we're going to put some math into some roller derby. These are the three formulas that you must know when it comes to training for roller derby. So first things first is the progress formula. Okay. There's a couple pieces to that. If you just do the same resistance over and over again for an extended period of time, you are going to have some progress, and then eventually you are going to plateau. Okay. Because your body is going to adjust to that resistance. And then no matter how much longer you do it, if you're doing the same thing, at some point your body's going to stop having progress. Okay. So for example, if you're new to working out and you do body weight squats to start, and you do 53 sets of 15, and you do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 4 to 6 weeks, at the end of that 4 to 6 weeks, they're probably going to feel a lot easier, right? You're not going to have the same amount of difficulty in doing them. So you either need to do more, or you need to maybe pick up your roller skates or a water bottle and squat with those instead. Add some resistance, whether it's adding more or it's adding heavier. Okay. Now, the other piece of this is maybe you are increasing resistance over time, but you're not working out consistently. And so what's going to happen is you're probably going to get hurt. If you're like, well, I went to the gym like a month ago and I, did squats with a 40-pound barbell. So I think this time I'm doing like 50 or 60. And then you're like, oh man, like this is actually way harder, because you haven't been putting in the consistent time. You cannot increase your resistance, but not actually do the work. Okay. That is what we call entitlement. Entitlement is wanting the outcome without wanting to do the work. There is a lot of this inside of roller derby. You will hear me go off on this one. It's like one of my pet peeves is people that want to come in and be better at a sport, but they don't want to do the work, right? The people that are at the top of their game in this sport have worked their asses off. They have showed up, they have put in the sweat, and there's a reason why they're great. And so if you want to be great, I'm here to tell you you can be, but it's not going to be handed to you. You're going to have to do the work. Okay. And the final way, the actual way to get there, the true progress formula is increased resistance over time is going to give you progress. Meaning that if you're going to consistently work out and over time you're going to make it harder, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get better, and it's going to be awesome. All right. So the second formula, 1 is greater than 0. I don't know if you guys know this, but 1 is greater than 0. And what that means when it comes to roller derby training is, look, if you're just starting out and everything that I've said sounds a little bit like complicated, I just want you to know that anything is better than nothing. When I first started playing roller derby, I was not a personal trainer. I had no freaking clue what I was doing. Okay. But I did know that 1 was greater than 0. Anything was better than nothing. In the beginning, when I started playing roller derby, I was just getting on the elliptical. And it was better than me not doing anything, right? But then over time, I realized that it was also actually after like a little bit not really making me any better at roller derby. So then I had to start doing other things. But what it did is it increased my endurance and my cardiovascular health enough for me to go, hey, it's time to do something else. Okay. So don't let complicated fitness stop you from doing something. Okay. Comment in the chat box if you're hearing me on this. Something is better than nothing. Okay, 100% of the time. So, the final equation, less equals more. Look, when you're skating 2 to 3 days a week, you do not need to be going to the gym 7 days a week. In fact, it's going to be the single reason why you are tired, why you are injured, why you get sick. Okay? So 3 days a week is like the perfect amount. Now, I'm not saying don't do anything the other days, but this could be that you do like a workout format 3 days a week, and then you do yoga 3 days a week, and you do nothing one day, right? Or you do stretching 3 days a week and you work out 3 days a week. Because you're also having practices, which means if you're having If you worked out 6 days a week and you had three practices, that means you're doing 2 days, 3 days a week. And I can tell you, I personally did this. And you know what happened? I was falling asleep at practice a lot of times. Like by the end of practice, I was like, ugh. And I didn't perform my best at practice because I thought that the workouts were more important than the rest. Yeah, Stephanie feels me on this one. Okay. So here's the thing. If you are tired, rest. Slice feels me, right? Too much workouts. Less is more. Okay. If you have a big practice and you wake up the next day and you feel like your throat is scratchy and you feel like you're getting sick and you're like, but I gotta do this workout today, it is the recipe for breaking down your body. Okay. Part of being an athlete, especially a non professional athlete that's playing a sport that's not paying you while you have a full time job and you possibly also have a family, you have to take care of your body if you want longevity in this sport. Okay. So if you are tired, rest. You also need to understand that if you are not resting, you are breaking down your immune system and you are spiking up your cortisol. Okay. Now, if you're breaking down your immune system, you're going to get sick more often, especially when we are, hitting other people on roller skates, getting really close to their bodies, right? And then we get their germs all over us. And then it's like, of course, we're going to get sick. But if you're getting enough rest, you're giving your immune system a chance to recover, then you're going to get less sick. Okay. Now, similarly, when it comes to cortisol, look, stressing our body to a certain degree is a really great thing. But when we're constantly not giving our bodies rest, when we're constantly living in a high state of cortisol, this is causing chronic inflammation in our bodies. This is causing things like high blood sugar levels. This is causing your body to store extra fat. This is causing your body to do a lot of really not good stuff that, it's one thing if your work is causing you stress, which is also not good. You should really work on your work stress also. But like if it's workout stress and you're like subjecting yourself to it and all you have to do is just not do as much of it and then your body will chill out, then you should do that. Also, if you have a job that stresses you out and there's no way around it, you should probably look for a new job. Just saying. Um, so hopefully this is all making sense. Comment in the chat box if this makes sense. Say, this was great. Give me something. Like, this was great. Tell me this was great. But comment in the chat box with what you're getting from this. What did you take away? What are you hearing for yourself? What was an aha moment? Is there something that you're like, ooh, I really want to add this in to my next workout? What are you hearing for yourself? I'm going to give you a couple of seconds here. Couple of minutes. I know that the comments always take a minute. Yeah, Leslie, Lisa says this makes sense. Awesome, Lisa. What did you hear for yourself? What are you going to add in? What is making sense for you? Awesome. Slay says, yes, very helpful. I need to rest more, be mindful of my time schedule to add those exercises. Perfect. Yes, exactly. Awesome. Who else we got? Let's get a couple more shares before I send you off on your way. And again, we actually have 2 spots left for Crash Course for this month. So if it's something that you're interested in, you can either comment with I'm in and I can send you details, or you can just go ahead and shoot me a DM and I can send you over details that way too. So sweet. All right. I think that is all of our comments that are blowing through here. I'm hoping that you guys got more out of this than those of you that are not commenting. I know you did. I know you got good shit. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us who came on Zoom. Thank you, everyone who joined us on Facebook. Sweet Lisa says, pay attention to my body, rest when needed, push myself 100%. Awesome. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will be doing more of these, so please keep your eye out, and we will see you all next week for our next live video. We'll see you guys later. Bye. You're welcome. Thanks, Allie. Thanks, Slays. Bye, guys.